This is going to be a 45-minute flow yoga class. So hopefully a nice, sort of lunchtime flow for you to do at your house or wherever you are. This is my cat Achilles up here. So he'll also be joining us in the flow. My style of teaching yoga is very much about kind of starting a little bit slow, building some heat and flowing through some standing postures, and then coming down to some more longer holds to sort of end on a more chill, kind of grounded vibe. As always, if there's anything that you would like to modify, I'll offer some modifications, but you can also do any poses that you feel are good for your body at any particular time. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the playlist into the chat one more time for folks that have just joined us. And as I mentioned, we don't need any props at all for our flow today, but if you like to have props nearby, you certainly can. And always just drop a little note in the chat if you have a question or anything as we go throughout. So it looks like everybody is on mute, which is great. I've spotlighted myself, so I should be big for you all to see. And Anna, you can start recording whenever you're ready. So we're going to come to just a comfortable seat. I'm personally sitting up on a block. So if you have like a pillow or something that you're sitting on, that's great. Or if not, that's also fine. I'm going to go ahead and cross my ankles, but you can sit in any position that feels right for you here. And so this position we call easy pose. And so it should be something that actually feels easy. It shouldn't feel like you're getting any tugging in your back or in your hips. And if you do feel those things, go ahead and just change your position. Maybe butterfly would be better, or laying on your back, or child's pose. Anything that feels kind of easy for you to get started today. And let's give ourselves a handful of breaths here, letting go of the idea of kind of immediately coming into meditation, but just take maybe 5 breaths to just kind of transition into your yoga practice. And so maybe for you, that looks like taking a little bit of a body scan, or noticing if there are any parts of your mind or body that need a little extra adjustment or attention before you start. And then when you feel ready, you might notice that your breath starts to deepen a little bit. You can draw in a slightly longer inhale and then let go a slightly longer exhale. Maybe the eyes have closed. And we'll do a little meditation here for the beginning of class, just to bring our awareness to something to focus on. Meditation is really about where our focus is, as opposed to making our mind blank or something like that. And so as you inhale, notice the temperature of the air around your nose as you inhale. And then as you exhale out your nose, notice how the temperature changes. So we inhale a little bit of cool air, and then we exhale a little bit warmer air. Inhaling cool, exhaling warm. And stay with this, noticing how the temperature shifts. And let's do that 2 more times. And then we'll all just come back to kind of a natural breath. We can just tuck our chin down just slightly so that we lengthen the back of the neck. And then we'll just blink the eyes open if they've closed. And if you'd like to start any music and you haven't done that yet, you can start your music now. If you're just joining, I did put a playlist into the chat if you'd like to use any music. And if you're watching this later, my Spotify name is Carrie 13231, and I have tons of playlists. So we're going to start by just taking some shoulder rolls. So you can just bring the shoulders up near your ears and then drop them back down. So going in either direction, doesn't matter which direction here. And if you'd like, you can start integrating your breath with your movement. So you could inhale as you draw the shoulders up towards the ears, and then exhale as you drop them back down. One more time in this direction, inhaling and exhaling. And then when you get to the bottom, just go the other direction. So this time we'll inhale as we bring the arms up, and then exhale as we drop them down. One more circle here of the shoulders. And then we'll take our hands so that they come down kind of by our hips, or maybe towards the mat or touching the mat. And then on an inhale, let's bring our arms up overhead. And then we'll exhale to drop the arms down by the side. So we're following our river of breath. So we're flowing in to come up, and then flowing out to go down. One more time here. Inhale to reach the arms all the way up. Exhale down. And then again, we'll inhale to come all the way up. And this time we'll drop down just our right hand. And it can come towards the mat, or maybe it makes a little tent on the mat, and we come into a little side bend here. So take some big breaths here. Let's root down through our left hip so that we're not coming up and tipping way over to the side, but we're really rooted down through that left hip. And then again, flow with the breath. We'll inhale to bring both arms back up through center, and then exhale to bring this time the left hand down, root down through the right hip so that we get that nice big stretch on the right side of the body here. Inhale. One more exhale. And then we'll inhale to come back up through center. We'll reach the fingertips up towards the ceiling. And then we can exhale, bring both hands down towards the mat, and we'll make our way into our tabletop. So taking any little movements that you'd like for the first couple of breaths of tabletop. So let this be kind of an empowering pose that you can settle into in however you like. So maybe that looks like shifting the hips side to side. Perhaps you like to do a little bit of child's pose or some cat and cow. Allow yourself to choose what feels good. Maybe you think about all the different directions that the spine can move, and you kind of try to do a couple of them. And then again, we'll come back to the breath. And on an inhale, let's go ahead and extend our right leg out long so that our toes are on the floor. Can press back through the heel so that we kind of start to fire up the back of the leg a little bit. And then drawing strength in through your core. On an inhale, we'll lift the right leg high behind us so that it's nice and long and straight. So we're getting a little bit of core engagement here. We'll take one more inhale. And then exhale, we'll bring ourselves back down into tabletop. Let's take cat-cow in between the two sides, drop the belly, and then arch the back. And then we'll find that on the other side. So on an inhale, we can extend the leg long so that the toes are on the mat. You can feel the back of the leg kind of opening and stretching a bit here. And then we need to fire up the core as we then inhale, lifting the left leg long behind us and breathing here. Another inhale. And then we'll exhale to bring both knees back down again. Take a cat-cow in between, and then we can tuck the toes and make our way up into our downward facing dog. So taking it kind of easy as you need to here. Maybe you have your knees bent kind of a lot as you kind of come into your first downward facing dog. An idea here in our downward facing dog is to find length within our spine. And so if we are bending the knees, but still finding length in the spine, then that's great. Perhaps we like to pedal the feet a little bit, drop the heels. And then we can settle into stillness if that feels comfortable. See if we can lengthen the spine without dropping our chest towards the floor. And so dropping our chest towards the floor would look something like this, really extending in our shoulders. But let's see if we can keep the spine long, but also keep the shoulders and the chest kind of strengthened and long as well. One more inhale here. Exhale. And then on an inhale, let's take little steps. Again, we can bend our knees as much as we need to so that we make our way up to the top of our mat. And we'll let our head hang heavy. We'll hang here in ragdoll just for a breath or two. And then as you're ready, one vertebra at a time, let your head and your shoulders come up. Last, we'll stand all the way up. You can roll the shoulders back so the shoulder blades kind of drop down into the back pocket so that we have this really nice, powerful standing mountain pose. We'll find a couple of sun salutations. So on an inhale, let's reach the arms up overhead. We'll dive forward on the exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. So again, firm up the belly as we lift up. Exhale, plant the hands. Let's step back into our plank. Half plank with the knees on the floor is always a really nice option here as well. So core is strong. We're just adding a little bit of extra heat here. And then you make your way down to the mat how you like. Chaturanga, knees, chest, chin. Find your back bend, maybe a baby cobra or an upward facing dog. And then make your way back to downward facing dog. Can you do it with strength in the core so that we continue really, really protecting our lower back? On an inhale, let's bring our feet towards our hands. Maybe you want to take the legs a little straighter. Maybe you want to hop the feet up towards the hands. We'll exhale to fold. And then inhale, reverse swan dive. We come all the way up to extended mountain and then come to our mountain pose. Let's pause one breath here. Inhale, exhale, and then we begin again. Inhale to reach the arms. Exhale, we dive forward. Inhale for that halfway lift, fingertips draw up the shins. Exhale, step, or maybe you hop all the way back into your chaturanga. And then we can lower down, knees, chest, chin. Make your way into your back bend, really broad through the collarbones here. And then again, make your way back to downward facing dog, maybe through plank, maybe through tabletop. And settle in. And then again, inhale one more time here. Little steps or a hop. We can exhale to fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up. Nice tall mountain pose. Pause here, inhale. Exhale. And then we do it one more time. Sun salutation A, exhale to fold. Inhale, lift half. Exhale, plant, step back to plank. Maybe you hop. Strong, we lower down all the way to the mat, or maybe towards our chaturanga. And then make our way back, downward facing dog. Pause here. Feel the strength that it takes in your shoulders, especially. Keep them plugged right in, nice and strong. We'll press down through all the corners of our hand, the pointer finger side, the pinky finger side, and the part where it meets the wrist. And then on an inhale again, we can take little steps or a hop. We'll fold forward here. Take a couple of extra breaths in our forward fold. If there's a hand position that you like, maybe you like to grab for opposite elbows, or you might slide your hands underneath your feet, or any other pose here as we kind of open up the back of our legs. On your next natural exhale, just release whatever arm position you've taken, and then give a slight bend to the knees as we lift ourselves all the way up, back again to our mountain pose. Nice. So we'll find a little bit of balance here. So let's root down into our right foot and lift our left foot kind of like so that we have a 90-degree angle in our knee. This is called stork pose. And so you might find that you're kind of like wiggling all over the place, and that's okay. You could always take your hand to a wall or to a chair or something if you needed it. But we're finding a little bit of balance here. And one of the things I really like to play with in my yoga practice is control. So we're going to go from our stork pose with our left knee out in front of us. We're going to sort of tip ourselves forward as we start to reach our left foot all the way back, and we step into our high lunge. We can inhale to reach the arms up overhead if that works for us, or maybe cactus arms is a nice option. We'll take a nice deep bend in the front knee here. and find our breath. Notice if there are places in the body that you're holding on to tension that you could let go of. So are you holding tension in the top of the shoulders, or maybe you're kind of like hyperextending your fingers to really reach them? Can you let those things go so that you can focus on what's really integral to this pose, which is the strength in our legs and the strength in our core, especially. Let's take one more inhale here. And then on our exhale, we'll open up into our warrior two. So take the time that you need here to set up. Maybe you want to roll the shoulders back just to give yourself a little bit more openness in the chest, and then just flip the forearms over. Nice deep bend in that front knee. And then here we'll flow between two poses, the first being extended side angle. So let's go ahead and exhale to drop down into our extended side angle. I'm going to keep my right arm on the top of my leg because we're going to flow between two poses here. The other option would be to drop the hand down to the inside of the right leg. So on your next inhale, we're going to flow back up through to our warrior two, keep the legs the same, and then exhale back down into our reverse warrior here. So bringing our left hand down the back of our leg. Inhale to come through center. Exhale to come to extended side angle. And flow at your own pace. Maybe it's one breath, one movement. Maybe you stay for a little bit longer in one of the poses. Your choice. Idea being that we connect with our own flow of breath here. One more time through. And then we'll inhale to come back through to warrior two. We'll come back up into high lunge. So we're back up on the ball mound of the back foot. Pause here. And then let's go ahead and drop the back knee down. And we'll sit ourselves into a really strong low lunge. So arms again can stay up or they can stay in cactus arms. And feel that stretch in the quad here. So we kind of want to tuck the hips under a little bit so that we feel that stretch even a little bit more. We'll take one more inhale. Exhale, we'll plant both hands to the top of the mat. Now we extend the back leg here. We'll plant the hands, step both feet back into plank, and then take your choice of flowing through your vinyasa or coming back into downward facing dog. We'll meet in down dog. And let's breathe. We'll take about 5 breaths here. And so if you'd like to take your breaths in child's pose, you can do that as a nice option. Again, thinking about the length of the spine here. And if you've taken child's pose, you can come up when you're ready, back to down dog. And then on an inhale, take little steps or maybe hop the feet up towards the hands, just letting ourselves fold forward, let the head be heavy. And then one vertebra at a time, we roll ourselves all the way up, mountain pose. Roll the shoulders back. Let's pause here. We'll find that on the other side. So this time we're going to root down really strong in through the left leg. And again, play with our balance here, play with our control. We bring our right leg up into our stork pose. Arms can be down, arms could be at heart center, whatever feels like the appropriate level of challenge or groundedness for you. And then we're going to, again, find that strength and control as we tip ourselves forward. So we're tipping forward and simultaneously reaching our right leg back. See if we can be super controlled. Nice, land the back foot. And here we are, high lunge on the other side. Tons of options for the arms. Cactus is always a nice option. Even arms down is a great option. Shifting our right hip forward a little bit while we shift our left hip back. Just square them off. One more nice big inhale. And then on our exhale, we open up into our warrior two. So again, take our time to set up here. Maybe you like to roll the shoulders back so that we bring our palms up towards the ceiling and then just flip the forearms. That can help us feel really nice and open in our shoulders. Breathing, following that flow, inhale and exhale. And then we'll layer on, adding in the extended side angle here. So as you exhale, we can bring ourselves down into extended side angle. Feel that big reach from the fingertips all the way to the outside of the right foot. And then we'll inhale to sort of cartwheel ourselves back through center and exhale to drop down into reverse warrior. So noticing here that the strength and the movement actually comes from our core and our obliques. So think about that midsection engaging here and engaging as we tip back. We'll go through one more time. Inhale to come back through center when you're ready, but don't rush. And then we'll come back up onto the back toes here. And here we are again in our high lunge. And then let's drop the back knee. Again, see if we can find a little bit more of a quad opening here. So a slight tuck to the pelvis, especially on the right side, can give us a little bit more of a stretch in our quad. Again, arms can be wherever feels comfortable. I personally like to tuck my right toes to kind of give myself a little bit more control here, but you can have the right toes untucked as well. One more inhale. And then exhale, we'll bring our hands to either side of our front foot. We step back into our plank or into down dog. You either make your way through your flow or stay in down dog. And from here, let's all go ahead and drop our knees down to the mat. We'll just drop into child's pose. Let the hips be nice and heavy here. So we can reconnect with the breath. When we have our forehead down to the mat, maybe you feel the breath a little bit differently. And then when we're ready, we'll make our way back up to downward facing dog. Again, we can reconnect with the center of the body, drawing the belly button into the spine. On an inhale, we'll lift the right leg high, kind of slow and strong here. Keep it nice and long and extended behind us. And then on an inhale, we bring the right foot up to the hands. You can take a couple little steps if you need to. We'll drop the back knee and then keep the left hand on the mat as we open the right arm up towards the side. So here we are in a twist. If you'd like a little bit more engagement in the back leg, you could always tuck the back toes and coming into our revolved lunge. See if you can bring your awareness to the part of your spine that you actually feel the twist. So if you only feel the twist in your neck, go ahead and take your gaze down towards the floor. So you take your neck totally out of it. And then notice where you feel the twist. Is it kind of in your mid back? Is it in your upper back? And then maybe you layer on the gaze towards the ceiling, or perhaps not. Option here, if you have your back knee down, would be to reach around for the bind. So to reach around with your right hand for your left foot. And again, get a little bit more into that quad stretch that we explored a few moments ago. And even if you just give the sort of the idea of the twist just by reaching your arm back, even if you don't quite make the bind, that can also be something nice to explore. Let's do one more inhale in this bind if you're there. Release on the exhale. We'll all drop our back knee to the floor. We'll bring our right hand down so it now frames the front foot. Let's just sit the hips back and we'll come into our half split. So now feeling the openness in the back of the right leg. Inhale, we'll come forward. Let's bring both hands now to the inside of the right foot and we'll make our way towards lizard pose. So we can have our hands planted on the mat, or perhaps you are finding softness in hips and legs that allows you to lower down. And again, here, option, especially if your knee is sensitive or you just like the idea of having your back toes tucked and your back knee lifted, that's also an option here. If you've lowered down, we'll go ahead and lift ourselves up so that we're planting our hands. Let's all tuck our back toes and our back leg. And then we're going to walk our hands now towards the long edge of our mat, and we come into a wide leg forward fold. So we kind of walk our hands around towards the left side. And then here we are, wide leg forward fold. We can just fold ourselves down. Hands can be on the mat. You can have your forearms on the mat. And let your head hang if that feels comfortable. And if you've lowered down, we'll inhale to again bring our hands to the mat. We're going to continue walking our hands around towards the left. So you're now maybe sort of feeling like you're facing towards the back of your space, but that's okay. We're just going to do the same poses again. So we'll drop the back knee. We'll start off here in our lunge. We can inhale to reach the arms up. Again, feeling that openness in the quad. And then we'll find our way into a revolved lunge. So right hand will come down to the floor, the inside of the left foot. We'll reach the left hand up towards the sky. Again, we could tuck the back toes and extend the back knee or drop them down. One option is not better than another. One option is not harder or more right. Just depends on what we're feeling like we'd like to explore today. Again, gaze can be up towards the ceiling if that feels comfortable, as long as we can find the twist in the spine and not just in the neck. And then as an option, we can reach our left hand back and around for our right foot to potentially find our bind here. Let your breath be smooth and steady. And if you've taken the bind on your next exhale, you can release. And then we'll all bring our left hand around so that it frames again the front foot. We'll drop to the back knee if you've lifted, and then shift the hips back so that we come into our half split. And as you're ready on your next inhale, we can again walk ourselves forward. This time we'll bring both hands to the inside of the front foot. So we plant both hands now to the inside of the left foot. And we'll come into that lizard pose. So options to have the back leg long and extended, option to maybe drop down to the forearms. You find the way that this pose shows up best for you today. Starting to take off any of the layers you may have added on. So lifting up back to the hands, maybe um, tucking the back toes. We'll all end up tucking the back toes to lift the back knee up. And then we'll start walking our hands sort of towards the right so that we again come back into our wide leg forward fold. Let yourself again hang down here. If you'd like to try a different option with the hands, I like walking my hands really long in front of me so that I get a feeling of downward facing dog in my back. So I've got my hands walked just as long as I can in front of me, but there's really no weight on them. So I've just walked them long, still sitting my hips back, feeling a little bit of like traction in my spine to give myself a little bit of an extra release. You can try that if you want. And if you've chosen to walk the hands out, we're going to walk them back in. And then we're going to walk now back towards the front of our mat. So that'll be kind of towards the right. We'll plant both hands, step ourselves back into downward facing dog, and then pause there. From here, let's all drop down to our shins. And then we can just sit ourselves down all the way so that we come into seated, but we'll take our legs wide. So we'll call this our straddle pose. The legs can be not very wide at all. They can be super wide. It really just depends on your own body anatomy. We'll think about, if we can, sort of rolling our hips more open so that our knees, if you think about your kneecaps pointing up towards the ceiling, they almost point a little bit more back as opposed to forward. So if we had our knees forward, our hips would be rolling in. We're trying to think about rolling our hips open. That's just something you might consider thinking about here. Shouldn't be like intense, like you have to like really work at it, but just sort of intend to bring the knees back, the kneecaps, so they point towards the back of the room. Maybe this is enough for you. Maybe you want to bend the knees a little bit, or perhaps you'd like to fold forward, taking sort of a different variation of a wide leg forward fold. On an inhale, we'll lift up again, thinking if we can keep those kneecaps sort of rolling a little bit more towards the back of our space. We'll take our right hand and slide it down the inside of our right leg, and then reach our left hand up and over and find a side bend here. So you can choose whatever variation feels good for you. One of the options would be to really lower down, but I like to keep my chest a little bit more kind of rotating up towards the sky. Still get a really nice side bend, but also feel a little bit more open and able to breathe in the chest. You can take your gaze wherever is comfortable. So if looking up towards the sky or looking up towards your hand is not comfortable, just take your gaze right down towards the floor. And then on an inhale, again, we'll use our breath to lift ourselves all the way up and over to the other side. On an inhale, we bring ourselves back up. Let's draw the knees in And then again, keeping with that idea of externally rotating our hips and bringing our knees sort of more out towards the sides, we'll come into a butterfly pose. So you can choose if you like to keep your knees, or excuse me, if you like to keep your heels more close to your body, or if you like to take them a little bit further away. And then we'll just sort of fold ourselves forward, just release, let the head kind of hold forward if that feels good. Inhale, we can lift our way back up. Take the hands to the outsides of our legs just to draw them together here. And then we'll find a little bit of core engagement before we make our way down. So you can keep your toes tapped to the floor. You could keep your toes up a little bit. You could keep your hands underneath your, like on the backs of your legs, or you could choose to extend your legs long. So tons of, or excuse me, your arms, tons of options here. We're gonna do a boat pose or a modified boat pose. Let's draw our belly button into the spine so that we're kind of scooping in our belly here. And we're just breathing. See if we can just breathe as naturally as possible. If you can't breathe naturally, take one of the layers off so that you can breathe more naturally and then work into your strength here. Breathe. We'll take one more inhale. And then can you lower down slowly, keeping the engagement, keeping the belly button drawing into the spine. We slowly, 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 slowly lower. And then we drop all the way down to happy baby. Nice. So for happy baby, maybe you like to reach your hands to the outsides of your feet or maybe to your knees. You could be still or kind of rock side to side on your lower back. And we'll find a couple of bridge poses. So bringing our feet to the floor, knees pointing up towards the ceiling. Let's reach our fingers down towards our heels. They don't have to touch, but they're kind of pointing, reaching down towards. And you can choose how intensely you'd like to lift. So on an inhale, let's all just lift the hips off the floor just a little. And then if you'd like to keep going, you can use the strength of your glutes and of your lower back to lift you up so that you have your hips driving more up towards the ceiling. Perhaps you're rolling your shoulders underneath here so that you lift up a little bit and feel really open in the chest. Maybe you even clasp the hands and super actively press up into this back bend. If you're really actively pressing up, you may feel your chin and your chest sort of meet one another. Try not to turn your head side to side here. Let's keep it neutral. And then in whatever option you're in, just peel back one layer at a time to lower all the way back down to the mat. And then again, come into your happy baby or maybe a modified happy baby to give yourself a little lower back massage. From here, let's again, this time bring our left foot down towards the mat. We'll extend our right leg up towards the ceiling. Take a little bit of a stretch here. We can roll the ankle, maybe point and flex the foot. And then we'll take that right ankle, cross it over the left knee. Again, we sort of externally rotate through the hip. Maybe we choose to stay here, or maybe we draw the right knee in so that we get a little bit of a deeper stretch in our hip. And then making our way into our supine twist here, we'll bring our left foot back to the mat if it's not there already. Let's just press into the left foot a little bit so that we then shift our hips a little over to the right side and then drop both knees down towards the left. So you can keep your right ankle kind of hooked on your knee. You might find a little bit of an extended supine twist here, or you could choose to uncurl or sort of unhook and just drop the knees over one on top of the other. And then on an inhale, we'll come back through center. We can uncross the legs. Bring yourself a little bit more back towards neutral. So kind of shift the hips back to the center. And then we'll extend the left leg up. Take little circles or point and flex. And then let's take the left ankle, cross it over the right knee. Again, we sort of open through the left hip a little bit here, and then possibly layer on, drawing the right knee into the chest. As you exhale, we can drop the foot back to the floor if it's lifted. We'll press into the right foot just to shift the hips over a little to the left side of your mat, and then drop the knees, both of them, over towards the right to find our supine twist. And then an inhale draws us back through center. We can uncross the ankles if they're still crossed, shift ourselves back to neutral, and then take your final resting pose. So you could choose to extend arms and legs into Shavasana, or maybe you like to lay on your side or your belly or any other pose that will help you close your practice today. Nothing left to do, no more poses. Just breathe naturally, exactly as you are right now. Knowing that you can choose to stay in Shavasana for as long as you'd like. If you're ready to start making your way out of Shavasana, you can wiggle fingers and toes really gently to start. And then maybe bring some slightly bigger movements into the body. Maybe turn head side to side, point and flex ankles and wrists. And then gently start making your way up to a comfortable seat. Use your breath coming up as you inhale. And again, finding whatever pose feels easy for you here, Sukhasana, seated, or any other pose that you'd like to close your class today. We can bring our hands into a closing gesture. Maybe you like to rest them on your lap, or perhaps you like to bring your hands to heart center. You can take a gentle tuck to the chin. May all beings in all realms know the feeling state of ease. Thank you so much, everyone, for spending some time with me this afternoon. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. It was really wonderful to be able to spend some time with you this afternoon. And I hopefully will see you again next time. Have a great day.